Hello, and welcome to this MedEWSa short video, which introduces the risk matrix. The risk matrix can be used by anyone, whether you are a forecaster, a first responder, a decision maker, or a warning service provider. The risk matrix is a powerful communication tool in the field of hazard warning. In this video, I will explain what a risk matrix is and how to interpret it, with reference to relevant guidelines provided by the WMO. The risk matrix of the UK Met Office features in these WMO guidelines, so it will be used in this video for demonstration purposes. Let's start with the WMO guidance on multi-hazard impact-based forecast and warning services, which can be found at the link provided on the slide. In Chapter 3, Section 3.7 of this guide, the risk matrix is presented as an effective communication tool for operationalizing impact-based forecasting and warning. Let's read the first part of this guidance. It is recommended that national meteorological and hydrometeorological services work together with their disaster reduction and civil protection agencies to identify how the likelihood of an expected hazard and its potential severity can be considered in tandem to create a risk matrix. The critical part of this statement is working together, but this aspect will be considered in a separate MedEWSa training video. Instead, let us focus on understanding how the risk matrix recommended by the WMO is created. Okay, so what is a risk matrix, and how is it created? A risk matrix is a graphical representation of the overall risk to a population from any given hazard. The matrix shows how risk has been assessed based on the hazard's potential impact and the likelihood of that impact occurring. Now let's think about impact and likelihood, the constituent components of risk, in a bit more detail. In this slide, we will focus on impact. On the horizontal axis of the risk matrix, there are 4 categories of impact: very low, low, medium, and high. The impact categories are defined by the potential effects of a given hazard, not just whether the hazard reaches some predefined threshold. For example, if we think in terms of wind warnings, the potential effects are translated to impact-focused definitions like danger to life from wind-blown debris, instead of using the kilometer-per-hour scale, or hazard-focused statements like winds reaching hurricane force. This kind of impact assessment gives more information to a user on what might happen during an event and what impacts they may need to prepare for. However, for the matrix to be successful, the impact categories need to be clearly defined and relevant to the intended target audience. This will also be covered in more detail in another MedEWSa training video. For now, let's move on to the likelihood axis. Looking again at the example risk matrix. On the vertical axis, we can see the same 4 categories, this time representing the likelihood. Likelihood expresses our confidence in whether a given impact category will occur. In this risk matrix, likelihood does not only represent the probability of an event occurring, but considers components that alter the effects of that hazard. Other factors that influence how impactful an event will be vary in space and time. Overall uncertainty in a forecast also considers location, timing, and intensity of the hazard. To illustrate, we should think about the likelihood of impact in terms of the exposure of a population during a given event. Take, for example, the devastating flash flood event that affected Texas in July 2025, where sadly, over 130 people lost their lives. The event occurred during the 4th of July celebrations in the US in a popular summer camp destination. So in this case, the associated risk of the flash flood hazard was exacerbated by the increase in the exposed population in the area affected by the intense rainfall event. Such considerations of location, timing, intensity, and exposure will change the likelihood that a given hazard will be impactful at a given level. Once impact and likelihood have been assessed, they can be plotted on the matrix to define and display the overall risk level. Here, we have determined for a given event that there will be a medium impact with a low likelihood. We place a cross in our box for medium, yellow level, overall risk. In this example, some action statements have been associated with the risk color. From green to red, the action statements are: no hazard expected, be aware, be prepared, or take action. For our example yellow event on the risk matrix, which shows low likelihood of medium impacts occurring, the message is to be aware. These action statements help to deliver the message of what the first responder or warning service provider needs to do during any given event. That completes this video introducing the risk matrix. If you would like to find out more about the benefits of using a risk matrix, watch our Why Use a Risk Matrix video. We hope you enjoyed this MedEWSa short video. Thank you for listening.